It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, it's Vera for Heather and Vera. We're continuing on from where we left off last week with Anne. She was talking about her experiences with adopting her baby boy and developing a relationship with the birth mother. And then I was actually going to say that I knew someone who her eggs weren't good. But she and her husband, they got an egg donor. So she carried her daughter, but biologically her daughter's not her daughter, but she carried her. And she's been very clear with her daughter about she said this wonderful woman donated her eggs so that, your dad and I could have you. So I carried you. Her genes from her egg are part of you, but you're part of all of us. And so she always described her as this wonderful person who was kind enough to donate her egg. And I always thought that was so cool. And it's almost like she's got like this little fairy godmother somewhere, that donated her egg,
It's so funny because they mentioned that to us at the infertility clinic. And I think that's a big testament to why certain things are for certain people. So, we were like, I don't think IVF is for us. We think adoption is for us. We have friends who are, totally going down the IVF path. And and that's totally fine. And they mentioned that to us, and this was different. This was just totally embryo adoption. So, basically, you get a full embryo, not just the egg.
Wow.
And I was like, and this is going to sound horrible, but we're having wine. But I was like, so I'm just putting somebody else's baby in my belly? I was like, I'm giving birth to an alien. I couldn't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah.
But I've heard now, and this isn't quite that, but it's close. But it's everybody has exactly what they feel is right for them and their birth story and what's going to work for them. Because I've had other girls that are like, I don't know if I can adopt. I just don't, and I'm like, I think you already know what you're willing to do. I think it's already, And for us, and this was an important part, we had to let go of the birth dream. My husband and I really wanted that day of birth. We really were we want to go through that together. That's but then we were like, that's kind of selfish. We were just like, it's just one day. And then I talked to all my girlfriends. They're like, you don't need that. That's a horrible day.
It is not glorious. It is. No. They call it labor for a reason, man.
No, I know our line, because we went through fertility treatments or went to a fertility specialist, and our thing was that we couldn't afford adoption because we know it's expensive, or we have heard that it's expensive. And I had a friend that adopted, and she was saying how it was she had to borrow money from her in-laws and her parents, and it was $35,000. And I was like, whoa. And so when we went to the doctor, our line was, we are not doing IVF if we do not get pregnant with treatments that we're doing with, without doing anything invasive. I was like, then we're just meant to be nomads. And so
we'll just go to a lot of great concerts.
I know, we're going to go on fantastic trips.
It's so funny you said that because we basically used retirement money, and we had already pulled it out, so we paid the taxes on the money, and we were like, oh my God, nobody's picking us for adoption. And I was like, you know what we can do? We could buy another house and Airbnb it or B&B it or rent it out. So I literally started looking for other houses. And I was like, we have all this cash. I don't know.
We could buy an elephant and keep it in the backyard. What the hell,
I was like, if I tell my husband, I'm like, this is a backup plan if the baby doesn't come.
I mean, but I think that's to keep your sanity even.
Yeah.
To be able to have those backup plans and say, okay, so I know this could feasibly not happen.
Yeah. And something else to look forward to, like an elephant in your backyard. I'm just saying.
If you want an elephant, I will convince Jerry.
Okay.
Am I allowed to ask you what then happened? I know this is you guys.
Oh, for us, we went to the first. I went to the first appointment, and the doctor was like, "Oh, you just recently ovulated." I was like, "Well, that's weird." Okay. And she put me on metformin, which is something a lot of pre-diabetics go on because I have PCOS. So while my insulin levels weren't, whatever they test for was normal, but something that they don't typically test for, I can't remember which one it was elevated, like extremely elevated. So she put me on metformin, and that I guess helped it be viable. Like I could get pregnant. I just couldn't keep pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. And so it was literally right there. And I mean, and so my husband had to like give a sample. He's going to be so pissed that I tell this story, but he gave a sample. So I was like, it was all for nothing.
Did that. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it's so funny because I was like, I would joke around. He's like, never mention that to me again. I'm like,
I mean, I can only imagine how humiliating that must be. Like,
I can't imagine either.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My husband, he goes, he went into the room, they have, and all they had were like magazines. And he goes, I was so embarrassed that he was like, he looks at like RedTube and stuff, and he goes, they didn't have any Wi-Fi. So he's like, I walked out of there and I had to ask the nurse what the Wi-Fi password was.
I'm sure he's not the first person.
Yeah.
He's like, seriously, they want me to look at like sticky magazines?
I know that other people have touched.
Brad was lucky in the fact that he could get the specimen at home and then bring it into the office.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. We weren't close enough. That's gotta be like a certain temperature, doesn't it?
It was. I think it was like within 30 or 45 minute window, and we were in that window. So I was like, "Run, go!"
Yeah.
What's that movie where they're running with the? I forgot what movie that is.
Yeah, it was a movie. I think they did that. But
yeah.
Our first IUI, I'll never forget. We had the nurse cracking up because the IUI. Did you guys do the IUI? Is that what that is?
No.
Okay. Well, because they're turkey basting for you.
Yeah.
And so we in the background, we had our phone on and we played Let's Get It On. And I'm like, well, basically you're here for the moment, woman. Like,
yeah,
you're part of the magic.
Come on. It's a little ridiculous.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll never understand why in the world. So IUI basically, they just like take your husband's sperm and they put it inside you. And it's painful. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's
weird.
I know.
Why is it painful? It shouldn't be painful.
I have no idea. I know this beautiful moment of making a baby and it's
conception.
awful.
Yeah. Ugh. I think sometimes it feels like doctors just try and make it hurt because it's like, I don't know.
God.
Then it's clinical.
I went through every funny story in our infertility. Like they had a med student in there one day.
Oh my God.
I think it was an IUI. I can't remember, but it essentially he was attempting to do something with my cervix. He couldn't figure out where the opening of my cervix was, and I was in tears.
What?
To where the nurse was like, "Let me just move aside," and she got in there in like half a second, and I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, like what the hell? Nobody likes anyone fishing around in the house like that.
Like, I was like, I'm here for the advancement of medical science, but oh my God!
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm gonna save some of my stories for the birth story with some of that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Are you? I know I have a friend or two friends that were adopted, and their parents they had their birthday and then they had their adoption day.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you'll do?
Yeah, his is March 19th. They call it like the gotcha day, especially for international kids, because like international kids, you usually don't get them until they're like older.
Mm-hmm.
But his final adoption day, it was cool. We all got together with our friends at a little Mexican restaurant, had a little party for him and margaritas.
Nice.
And I don't know about you, but like in the first couple of years of life, we're all like, you know what? All the parties for him are really about us because he has no idea.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, good. Well, this spoiled only child will now have 2 parties a year. That's what he needs.
Right? He's already going to be all about himself, and now Wait a minute, what? Other people don't have 2 birthday parties? Huh?
Yeah. When was he actually born?
He was born December 14th.
Oh,
and
so
then
close.
he was, and then his, I guess, final adoption day was March 19th.
I'm December 11th, so.
Oh, no way. So that's what, a Sagittarius?
Yes.
It was so funny when I had never met a Sagittarius, or at least that I knew of.
Yeah.
So, like, when he was born, tell me all about yourself, because I don't know anything about Sagittarius.
We're a fire symbol.
You're what?
We're a fire symbol.
Fire symbol. And when I looked up his birth date, I'm not kidding. What came up was basically what it read back to me was on his birthday was that like he's going to be a pot smoker and like roam the world. I was like, oh, good.
Awesome.
Well, hey, not biologically my kid, but still my kid. We'll get along great.
Experience all things and all cultures and something about like all sorts of. I don't know how we got pot smoker out of there. I may have put that in there, but.
My stepson is December 11th, and he's not a huge pot smoker, but he's a pot. He travels all over the place, and one of the things where he is right now, he's in Oregon harvesting weed, and he's lived he's lived in Miami, New Orleans, New York, so yeah, that's him. He's December 11th too. Well, and Heather's not exactly like, Heather, you're not exactly like Miss just like sit around on your butt and not do anything.
No, I like to, I when I was in Florida, especially, I was constantly on the go. Like I hated being at home. I just had to do something all the time. And I still am to a certain extent. Brad's a very big homebody, so that kind of changed or like altered me, I guess, a little bit. So I appreciate being at home more. But when he like has drill on the weekends, I am like, what can I do? Where can I bring Baker? Where can we go?
Let's go. So be prepared. Mr. Victor is probably going to be a little bit of he's going to need some entertainment. But he's got you. Anne's like entertainment in a box, man. She's like hysterical.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, and I think it has a little bit to do because I work at home during the week. Like, I'm like, how do we get out of this house on the weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Where can we go? Because I'm sick of looking at these walls.
Yeah.
So.
And by the way, is a voiceover talent like I am too. So she does like voiceovers and stuff. Yeah. So go ahead. Sorry.
So I get sick of being at home, and I'm like, let's go. And I know, and he just started daycare, so I know he got sick of it too. And the good thing is we live like half a second from the zoo, and I got a membership there. So, but I wonder if even now he's bored of the zoo because we're there like every other week.
See if they have a children's museum there, because there's one in Denver that I just discovered a month or so ago. It's amazing and like so cheap.
Yeah, they have a science museum, like a children's science museum, but it seems like it's for older kids.
Yeah, this one has This one has a lot of different exhibits, if you will, but they're all hands-on. They have like a water one. They have a specific area for 2 and under.
Mm-hmm.
It's really pretty fantastic. If you come to Denver, let me know.
Okay, we'll just go to Denver.
Yeah.
Hey, that's one way to get out and about.
Yeah, I'm literally like, what can we take our kids to? Something. And this is the funny thing. I'll never forget my mom's reaction to this. So the place you can bring your babies to or your kids to, and it's totally okay, is breweries. I don't know if you do that.
What?
Sometimes.
Yeah, all the time.
Sometimes. Well, some people get really like offended when you bring your child. We went to a brewery and brought Baker, and they were like, I can't even tell you how many people looked at us strange. I was like, dude, it's a baby. He's in his, we're just having a beer. Like we're just like trying to get our growler filled. We're going to go home soon.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We go to them all the time, all around Nashville. And it's like, and we end up talking to other parents with their kids, and they're like, I know this is the only place. It's not a restaurant. So it's not like we have to be quiet, and it's not a bar. So it's like, you're not like, I've got my baby in a bar.
Yeah.
But they've got like games and board games. People bring like their 10-year-old kids. They bring, and like parents have like, 1 or 2 pints, and we hang out, and we got a little kid, and we sit around and talk. A lot of the breweries here are set up like living room spaces.
Nice.
Awesome.
So I was telling my mom this. I was like, so what we do on the weekends is meet our friends with other babies at breweries. And she's like, that's amazing.
No, totally.
Go,
Well,
Mom.
that's essentially all we have. I mean, right. I mean, it's not all we have, but it's the best. It's great. And he started going, when you could take him out at like 3 months, he loves falling asleep to like crowded noise. So like he just goes to fall asleep. So it's great.
Yeah, well, everybody's always said, at least when Lucas was little, that you should just take them out in noise because then they won't be super sensitive to it, and they can adjust, and it becomes almost like white noise, all the people talking and stuff. So it's not a big deal. That's what I was always told. I don't know. Like, again, Lucas is 15, so 15 years ago, some of the stuff that they told us back then now is totally wrong, according to
that's what we do. That's what we do, and he does great. And he's a great.
That's awesome.
He's not a good napper, but he's a good sleeper. He kind of wants to party. That's probably the Sagittarius in him.
He's nosy.
He's got FOMO.
That's
yes.
right. Well, Lucas is a Sagittarius too, but he's on the cusp of Sagittarius and Scorpio. So
I know. See, Scorpios. I think I know a few Scorpios.
Yeah, my sister's a Scorpio. They're hit or miss. There's some Scorpios. They're very intense. And the ones that I've
they're
met,
kind of mysterious and intense, and
very deep and intense. And if they're not careful, they can end up on the dark side, like like falling off into the depths of intensity.
No comment.
They're essentially like Jedis. They could be like on the dark side or the light side.
Exactly.
I think that's what Brad is, right? Because when's Lucas's birthday? November
24th.
Okay, yeah, because Brad's is the 21st.
Oh yeah, so he's on the cusp too.
Together. Wow.
Yeah. So Scorpio, Sagittarius, but
he is kind of deep. He's quiet and mysterious. I would say that, but he's definitely not dark at all.
No, he's not.
He's like whatever. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, he's not. Sorry, Brad is bad. So, but was there anything else that you'd want to say, Anne, for people who are considering adoption or anything, just to kind of put it out there?
Well, I guess, I didn't bring up the one thing that this is kind of a personal thing to me that I'm going to start. I told my husband, I'm trying to get out the right words for it because it really means a lot to me. So, and how to do this without revealing too much about my birth mother. But it's a thing that's happening, and I think it needs to be discussed. So I've decided to stop volunteering with PanCan. I was volunteering with them for a long time, Vera.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
And I'm going to start volunteering with the adoption agency because I want people to know more about adopting children with NAS. And that's what he had. That's why he was in the NICU. And I haven't been very vocal about it just because I want to be protective, but I also feel like it's called neonatal abstinence syndrome. And I want people to be more open and aware and understanding about it. And I think one of the books that was given to me when I was getting ready to adopt said something that actually really upset me. And it was called The Connected Child. And it's a fabulous book about adoption, and I loved it. But there was this sentence in there that it just hurt me. And she was like, I don't want to adopt from the United States because those kids are addicted to drugs. And I know. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, ouch.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that that's probably a sentiment out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through this with him. It was really hard, but he came out of it, and he's a great kid. And I think he's going to be an amazing kid. I think he's even going to be a smart kid.
Mm-hmm.
And and there's so little research being that's done already. Like, nobody really knows. And I think it would be good if there were some people out there to kind of get moms ready for that situation. It's tough to watch kids going through withdrawal, but the NICU is an amazing place, and we made some amazing friends. And I feel like I grew up a lot in the NICU, and I feel like if people are going to feel that way, there's a lot of opportunities lost for children. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where I want to focus my extra time on in the next couple of years. I don't want, I think international adoption is great, but they change a lot of laws and rules. So now if you want to adopt across the border, you're not going to have that child till they're damn near 4 or 5 years old. Just because.
Yeah. And I know someone who adopted a child, and he ended up being like 8 or 9. And by then he was so wounded. I'll just say, Yeah.
So, and if it's the fear of withdrawal, then I want to help, I guess, is my thought. Because I feel like as somebody who's been there, and I actually was around, so NICU was filled with it. I mean, that's all NICUs are dealing with now.
Wow.
So it's just where we're at right now. It's so sad.
Yeah.
There was even a mom in the NICU who was denying that her kid was going through withdrawal. I mean, it was things I saw would break your heart. So, and I learned a lot from my birth mother about, I feel like I got a front row seat to what's really going on out there. Yeah. And I could be really judgmental to her, but I'm just not. And it's pretty, it's not a weakness these people have. I mean, it's, they also, you have to understand, they can't just cut off cold turkey, because that also hurts the baby.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a lack of knowledge about what's going on.
No, well, with the opioid epidemic and everything. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. But our baby did great. It was really tough. There were a lot of tears. You spend 3 weeks in the NICU. It was like we were basically living there.
Wow.
And that's kind of where we are. I really want to advocate for those kids because
Is there an organization out there that you would like to let our listeners know about so that they can become better informed?
I don't even know of one. I haven't even looked up one yet. I'm actually just finishing up with our Purple Stride for PanCan, and then I'm going to be making my gentle exit, and then I was going to move on and talk to my adoption agency about it. So I don't really know yet.
Well, let us know, and then we'll definitely put it on our Facebook and our Instagram and everywhere. We'll just blast it.
I'll look and see what I can find, because it's definitely. I was talking to my husband about it. I'm like, I think that's where I want to. That's kind of what I like to do to kind of keep my. I don't know. Everybody has their thing they need to do to kind of keep their mind off. Sometimes kids are too much, sometimes family's too much, sometimes it's too much. So I like to volunteer. And so that's what I do to get out of the house and do something else.
Heck yeah. And focus on
Vera and I do this
in your own life. No matter how good your life may be, everybody's lives are difficult at one point or another. So you can just focus on helping someone through their difficulties, whatever they may be.
And that's our main purpose of this podcast, is to help new moms, because we know that everybody is having a different experience. And, I am guilty of it. And I have said it before that, I was the biggest judger before I had my own child. And
oh God, yeah.
So this is my paying of repentance.
Game.
You sound so Catholic.
Right?
I'm not, actually. Funny thing.
Well, thanks so much, Ann.
As a Catholic, I'm just saying welcome. We'll let you in.
I'm Lutheran, so
thanks.
Oh, well, you're cool.
Close enough.
I'm close, Catholic light, but we don't have quite as much guilt. But that's a whole nother podcast.
That is a whole other podcast. I could just do a podcast on guilt.
Right? Oh yeah, mom guilt. We could do a whole podcast on mom guilt. God, man.
Don't even. So funny.
Well, thank you so much, Ann. This was awesome.
And Ann, are you part of our Ann, are you part of our Facebook group right now?
It's so, I was like, they're gonna ask me that. I am trying to be less social media-ish. I can do it.
It's okay.
I know.
No, it's totally okay.
I was just thinking if somebody had additional follow-up questions, maybe if you were able to answer.
Here's here's what I love is the Twitter, because it's quick and easy. So at Vidra says, V as in Victor, Y-T-R-A says, and then I'm on Instagram. I don't know if people, no, don't do it. You can find me on there, Vidra, but Facebook is just, it became a time suck. So I'm there during the day. I'm literally, Vera will enjoy this. I'm there while I'm like uploading files. And I'm like,
I gotcha.
Like during the week, but like I took it off my phone, and I needed to, and my husband did it too. And we're both like, oh, hello. I haven't seen you.
Where you been, man? No, that's totally cool.
For like my self-esteem. And I know that's like, oh, we promote ourselves via our group. I know.
Yeah. It's okay. It's totally okay. Really, again, that's even another podcast.
Twitter. I'm a big tweeter because it's quick and easy.
There you go. So you can tweet, or people can, post to our Facebook, which is I Can't Mom Today. Facebook.com/I Can't Mom Today. So they can always say, hey, I wanted to ask Ann, blah, blah, blah. And then we can relay it to you or something. So they can find you through us if they need to.
You guys not have a Twitter yet?
No, I don't Twitter.
I have an Instagram. I tweet some, but then I'm like, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn.
I know.
Good God, man. And they don't all talk to each other completely.
And do you want to take over our Twitter?
Yeah. We'll pay you. We can ship you some wine.
Oh, actually, that might be worth it.
I can pass down all baby clothes.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Oh, my gosh.
Although Baker's a hoss, so he's like huge.
He's in the 100th percentile.
Oh, my gosh.
For height. I'm not kidding you.
Wow. No, Victor's like 50th percentile. He can model, I think. Like, every time we get the shirt, she's like, I haven't seen this in a while. He's like literally in the middle.
Aw, that's perfect.
Yeah.
It didn't come from us.
Yeah, right? Well, there you go.
We love freaking out people when they're like, he's so cute. And we're like, yeah, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. You did not get it from us.
If he's a nice and amazing human being, that's all us.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, if any of our listeners have any questions, you could definitely email us at I Can't Mom Today podcast, and we will pass them along and try to get
Gmail.
some. Yeah. I'm sorry. Duh.
I Can't
at
Mom
Gmail.
Today podcast at Gmail. We're professionals.
Yes. And we will try to get the answers for you from Ann and Ann's experience. And like Vera said earlier, it's, none of us are professionals. We're just giving you our experiences and how we're trying to maneuver this crazy thing called mom.
Right.
Yeah.
3 letters, and man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Ann.
Thank you.
It was so much fun.
Yes. And again, until next time.
Yeah.
All right.
Dun, 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 dun.